So I'm going to talk to you today about Beowulf. Beowulf is listed in London and in Stockholm. We've got assets in Sweden, Finland and Kosovo. And we're a future supplier for metals to the green transition. Most people know Beowulf for its Kallak iron ore project in northern Sweden. We've gone through quite a transformational year with Kallak. A year ago, as of last week, we got an exploitation concession for the project. That was 9 years in the waiting. That gives us the rights to develop the project over 25 years. So it's a pretty important milestone for the company. And then in January, we put out the first set of results from our scoping study, which SRK did for us. During the time it took us to get Kallak permitted, we diversified the company. We didn't sit on our hands and wait. And we first stepped into exploration for graphite, natural flake graphite in Finland with our Graphite business. It was previously known as Fennoscandium Resources. There was a main focus on developing our resource footprint of natural flake graphite. But in the last 2 to 3 years, we've also looked to move downstream into, as we would describe it, creating an anode materials hub. And we've made some significant progress on that in the last 6 months or so. And then in 2018, we were presented with a really intelligent exploration idea for Kosovo. And we started investing in Vardar Minerals, who have been exploring for base metals, precious metals, and some lithium in what is known as the Tethyan Belt. We may not have operations, but ESG is threaded through everything we're doing in terms of developing our projects and our portfolio. And it starts with respect, partnership, and responsibility, respect for our stakeholders, seeking to partner with communities in which we operate, and delivering responsible development. And that we're doing everything you would expect of an exploration development company and a future operator. In Sweden, our goal is to create a fossil-free mining project producing fossil-free iron concentrate. We're quite fortunate. I would describe Kallak as a project for its time. We've had to wait a considerable period for the exploitation concession to be granted. But during that time frame, we see a steelmaker in Europe decarbonizing. In the Nordic region, we see fossil-free steelmaking projects in Sweden, Finland, and in Norway. And it is our belief that you can't have fossil-free steel if you don't have fossil-free iron ore. So we think we're in a really good position. As I said, a year ago, we got the exploitation concession for Kallak. What makes Kallak stand out is not the grade of the mineralization and the ore body in the ground, which is roughly around 28%. It's what you can upgrade it to. And the highest grade that we have achieved is 71.5% iron content magnetite concentrate, which is clean as a whistle. And so when we got the exploitation concession last year, participants in the iron ore market and the iron ore concentrate market are immediately thinking how that kind of a product can fit into their portfolio in the future, and they want to know when it's going to come on stream. We're in an ideal location. We're 40 kilometers from rail. The north of Sweden is benefited by good rail infrastructure, ports. We've got Narvik up in Norway, and we've also got ports on the Baltic in Sweden. And then the beauty of operating that part of the world is you can effectively plug a mine into the grid. So our ambition is around achieving net zero, and we can do that with the electrification of heavy earth-moving equipment, mobile plant on the mine. And then just touching on ESG again, our ambition is to maximize the benefits that will flow to the rural municipality, which is what Jokkmokk is. And so we're placing great emphasis on the partnerships that we're building locally. I touched on the scoping study that we did with SRK, and we published this in January. I was placing the emphasis that this is Kallak North only, and Kallak North is just a part of the overall Kallak area. And the bigger picture, as we're trying to explain, what this did was it gives us positive sector economics to proceed with the project, but it also identified all the upsides that we can create. With Kallak North, we have a resource of around 111 million tons. But in the wider area, there's a much greater tonnage. And we've got value upsides both on increasing the scale of the resource, extending the mine life, increasing the production level through processing modifications, and also some of the assumptions that went into the financial model that generates the $177 million NPV around the proportion of product that we can sell to a direct reduction market instead of blast furnace market and attract higher prices. So, you know, this is a first pass, but there's a lot more to go at here, and we're quite excited about what we can deliver in pre-feasibility study. So what you can see here is the blue area, which is the Kallak North concession and the 111 million tons that I described. The green areas to below Kallak North are exploration licenses, and as a package, they contain something like 389 million tons of iron mineralization that's been identified. And then to the northeast, what we've got is the August license, which the Swedish Geological Survey has put another 75 million tons on. That's not classified, so we don't know if it's real or imaginary, but it shows us that we've got plenty of exploration potential to go at in this region that could extend the life of mine into the decades. So coming on to Graphintech, we acquired Graphintech in 2016. At that stage, it was very much a portfolio of graphite exploration licenses. We see graphite, and clearly this probably will make sense to everybody in the room, but with the growth in gigafactories and the demand for lithium-ion batteries in Europe, both for electric vehicles and renewable storage, the market demand for natural flake graphite as part of the overall graphite supply with synthetic is compelling. And the conversation in Europe over the last few years has been around where is this material going to come from? So we, both with the growth in demand, but also the policies that have been developed in Europe, there's a strong case for developing primary raw material supply within Finland. And we've been very well supported in the country in these aims. We believe we've got a strategic position, as with our iron ore asset. We started off in resource development, so we have placed our priority has been the Aitolampi graphite project. We've got 1.275 million tons of contained graphite on there, and that really is for the medium to longer term. That's a source of supply for what our overall ambition is to create a Finnish domestic value chain, both for what Finland is trying to do in the battery space, but also what is happening in Europe. In the last 2 to 3 years, we've been well supported by Business Finland through channeling EU money into developing the whole battery ecosystem in Finland. And we've used that money to basically explore the potential for creating a downstream anode materials production hub, as we would describe it. And the early part of this year, we announced that we'd secured a site on the Gigavaasa area. Gigavaasa in the city of Vaasa is basically battery central in Finland, and is a hotspot, Vaasa itself, for technology companies as a whole. I think there's over 160 technology companies in Vaasa, but specifically the city of Vaasa has gone out of its way to identify how it can create this leading industrial complex of battery companies, and we've got a site in that area. So, you know, the overall ambition is this value chain. In the short term, that anode materials plant would be reliant on import material, but in the medium term and the longer term story, we would be supplying it from our own natural flake graphite mines in Finland. And again, as I touched on with Kallak and this exploration upside to give a much longer life mining operation, we have the same situation with our graphite in Finland and the Repsijärvi project, which sits to the north of 8 kilometers to the north of Aitolampi. And even though at the end of last year, we put out an announcement before Christmas, which was around, you know, strong electromagnetic survey data and good assay information coming back from trenching and grab samples and what have you. So, you know, when we're comparing this package against what we know about our Aitolampi project at the same level of progress, we're very pleased with what we're seeing here, and we believe it could be another discovery. So moving on to Kosovo, we've invested in Vardar Minerals in 2018. This was a step that we took because what we were presented with was a very compelling exploration idea by a very competent geological and geoscientific team. It's the Tethyan Belt. I mean, Kosovo isn't an address that trips off the tongue of everybody when they're thinking about countries in the Balkans to invest in. Clearly, there's been more investment in countries like Serbia and Bulgaria and Macedonia. But it's all part of the same regional belt, and the Tethyan Belt has been responsible for some major copper and gold discoveries in the southeastern Europe. We have 2 exploration licenses in Vardar Minerals, the Mitrovica license to the north of Kosovo, where most of the work has been taking place over the last year, 18 months, and then the Viti license to the southeast of Kosovo. Mitrovica, we've got a license package that surrounds an existing mining operation, the Stanterg mine, which the resource on Stanterg, what has been mined and what is left, as far as we understand it, is around 63 million tons of 5.8% combined lead, zinc, and 80 grams a ton silver. And within the Mitrovica license, we have, last year was, I would say, we had a good year with Kallak in terms of the progress we made. But from an exploration standpoint in Kosovo as well, it was a year of significant change. We started off in August with post-drilling the announcement of the discovery of a large polymetallic epithermal system, a body of what we believe is base metals close to surface. And then we followed that up with gold and base metal targets around Majam Peak. And then we finished off before Christmas with the identification of the red lead target, which has become a priority for drilling. And that is, as we see it, very similar to the Stanterg deposit. When it comes to Viti, and we've not been able to really get stuck into Viti, we have copper and gold potential there, porphyry potential, as well as some potential conceptual lithium. So as I touched on, Majam Peak last August was this the announcement of the discovery of the large polymetallic epithermal. Stage after stage of exploration work that we do on Majam Peak delivers more and more information. As I would describe it, we have been basically drawing a picture, coloring it in, annotating it. And what the team did last August was start to draw comparisons between what we're seeing at Majam Peak with other mines, other deposits in the world. Specifically, with the announcement last August was the Chelopech deposit in Bulgaria. Significant copper resource, copper gold resource. And what you get with Majam Peak and the Mitrovica license is you're getting the same geological setting, the same findings, and the same geometry as you're seeing with these other deposits and mines around the world, which is really getting the exploration team quite excited. And then similarly with red lead before Christmas, this was not an announcement that came following drilling, but just from field work, identifying the same geological setting as has been observed at the Stanterg mine adjacent to us. And as I touched on, this as a lead, zinc, silver target is a priority for drilling as we look forwards. So just in summary, we have 3 businesses within Beowulf. Each of those has got plenty of activity taking place. With Kallak, we're moving into pre-feasibility study phase and environmental permitting. I think, my job as CEO, like a lot of CEOs of the companies you might have listened to, share prices are somewhat depressed at the moment, but we are going to get stuck into the value drivers around the project, which I've touched on earlier, and also looking to de-risk the project. We have a significant iron ore resource, and we have lots of opportunities to increase the value of what I've shown you today. With Graphite, it's very much the focus on this creating the business model for the downstream anode materials hub, which in the longer term is going to be supplied by domestic graphite mining, but in the short to medium term will be supplied by import. And then with Vardar Minerals, we've made it quite clear that the progress that we've made over the last year, we do believe that we have the opportunity to consider spinning Vardar out and creating a very exciting exploration play in its own rights. Thank you very much indeed.